Hugh Robert K. I mean Michael J. Come on.
I'm going to be hearing this for the rest of my life. I do 55 radio stations every day and have to say call letters, and my brain, I short-circuited. Anyway, I know. Oh, stop. So, look, I'm really glad you guys are all here. I know I personally got to speak with most of you on the radio. I'm really thrilled. I want to get started. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for my buddy Lee Brice. Now, where would you like to sit? You don't want to stand. I want you to. Are these things comfortable enough to sit on? I don't know. Or you want? I got. All right. Where do you want to be?
I don't care.
All right.
Wherever you don't want.
And this is a gift from Russ Joy, who's out here today. I want to make sure I give you that.
And I got it, and I love it.
We're going to talk about him. I want to ask you right off the bat because you talked about getting this group from your baby. He has 3 kids. He has the most amazing names. I'm just trying to remember them as difficult. But your wife Sarah. Let me see if I get them right. First, I think of Toyota when I think of the first one.
Okay.
Which is Dakota. I'm saying it right.
You're saying it right.
Where did Dakota, the name, come from? Is it?
Well, she's crazy and she wants stuff to be different, like for just to be different. And then she looks up meanings of names and all this stuff. And so she's like, "What about Dakota?" I'm like, whatever you want to do, baby.
This is the first child, so you want to be
first child,
right?
But it's like one of those things to where you think it's like maybe just doesn't hit you right because it's like odd. But then you call them that for a day, and it's just like you've been calling them it their whole life. So So
we have Dakota. Then we have Riker. And tell me Riker. Where did that come from?
Well, she was looking through cool names, and she said that, and it struck me. And we were actually between 2 names, Riker, and we were between Brody. And I said, "Hey, how about this? We'll just wait till he comes out. If he's got blonde hair, we'll call him Brody. If he's got dark hair, we'll call him Riker." And he came out with jet black hair. I'm like, where'd that come from?
So Riker.
Riker.
Now the baby, 12-week-old, I believe.
16 now.
16. I love this name. It reminds me of a Lionel Richie song. I don't know if Truly.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was Truly. It was. Now don't get me singing, but
I want to hear you.
No. But I love the name Truly. Where did that come from?
Well, she wanted to do a name with my name at the end of it. So there's like Brinley and like all these names with L-E at the end. And she said Truly, and I just was like, God, that's so special to me. And one day she was like, "Well, I don't know if I want to name her that because one day her last name's going to change and she's going to be saying Truly whatever, whatever his last name is." And I was like, "Well, the good Lord willing, if she finds somebody that it's good to her and we love and she's in love with and devoted to, then it can still be Truly
right
that guy,
right.
And so right now it's Truly Brice. So I dig that for a while anyway.
Awesome. So Truly has got a croup and
Truly didn't have it. So Riker got the croup.
Did.
Okay, and so somewhere between 2 and 5 years old, if you get the croup, you sound like you're the kid's coughing. They sound like a seal. Right. And then it like attacks your vocal cords and your windpipe, so they can't breathe. And so I was up watching Riker all night long, just gasping for air.
Oh, that's the worst.
And it's the worst, right?
That is the worst.
But I'm right there with him in his face,
right,
for 3 nights in a row, and he's all good now. But I woke up a couple days ago and I couldn't talk, so at least I'm able to talk right now. I could try to sing, "Hey," yeah, it don't work.
Tell
really.
the story about last night. You were in Nashville at the Ryman.
Yeah, we were in Nashville last night. I was supposed to sing. They had a big show at the Ryman for all of the songs of the year for the last 10 years. And of course, 50 years.
And you had one of the biggest hits in the history of country music.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I guess it somehow got on this in the last 50 years. So I Drive Your Truck was one of the songs of the year, and so I was supposed to sing it. And I'm walking there in the back of the Ryman. It's real tight back in the back of the Ryman. It's an old school place, and there's no room. And so I'm like standing beside Garth and Chris Christopherson and all these. I'm like,
how many of y'all been there to the Ryman?
The Ryman.
A few people have. It is an incredible spot.
It's even like when you're just walking on the side of the stage, you know everybody who stood there, and it's really really cool. So I was supposed to sing, and I was way worse last night even than I am right now, and I just physically could not sing. And now listen, I've had a tired voice. I've been doing 8 shows in a row. I've been on the road. But you can just push through that. You can figure out a way to. There's nothing. It just won't work. So I called this one of the songwriters of the song. Her name is Jessie Alexander, and she is an amazing singer, an amazing heart, and a great writer. And so she came in, and I played, and she sang, and then I was able to kind of speak through like the second verse, right there on the little spot of the rhyme. And so I couldn't even sing last night. It's something that of all the places I really, really wanted to sing, and I just couldn't do it. But it was all right. We got through it. It was cool.
Well, I want to talk about 2 things, and then we're going to get to the new music I want to talk about. The first one is your wife, Sarah. You've known now, I think, for almost 18 years.
Yeah.
You met her. If you don't know this, he's from Sumter, South Carolina.
Yeah.
We talked about this before because he played football with Clemson. But I want to go back to this story because I think this is pretty cool that you remembered all this, and I read a little bit about it. You met Sarah walking on the beach in North Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
I want you to take me back to that and tell me that moment and tell me how that ended up being
So
life-changing moment.
I was on the beach, myself and my brother and 2 of my great friends. In fact, one of them's here. Nick is here. It's randomly he's here somewhere. But he's here because he's been living down in Key West, and he had to come up, and he's been staying with us for a minute. So me and Nick and Mark and Lewis were walking down the beach one night, looking for girls to go talk to.
You were 18 at the time or something, right?
I was probably 19
19.
20.
Okay.
And which is kind of old. And looking back. But we were on like a kind of a vacation at the end of the summer, and we were just walking. But it was like raining, so there was nobody on the beach. We're the only 4 people walking on the beach. We're not going to find girls out here, dude. So this girl comes walking, for long, person starts walking, and she gets closer and closer, and it's a girl, okay? And she has a big sweatshirt on, and like hair like kind of in her face, and she walks by, and I'm like, wait a minute. She walks by, and I'm like, oh. So she passes us, we keep walking, only girl on the beach. And so I'm like, all right, guys, if she turns around, I'm going to talk to her. So I'm walking, so I'll turn around, and she like looks over her shoulder, I go, I'm gone, boys. So I take off, right? And I start walking towards her. My 3 buddies keep going. So she takes a beeline kind of towards the beach, and she stops, and she sits down. I said, oh, this is perfect. She wants me to come talk to her. So I go sit down. I go, hey, can I sit down and talk to her? And we just start talking. And she kind of pulled her hair back, and the moonlight hit her face. And I was like, holy Brice. Whoa. I was like, wow, I've been stepped in something. I don't know what I'm like, she just blew my mind. She was gorgeous. And I said, hey, can you wait right here for just a second? Because I knew I needed more ammunition.
So it's raining at this point.
Yeah, it's like drizzling rain, okay?
Uh-huh.
She's sitting on the beach at 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
So I'll haul tail down the beach. I mean running. It was probably at least a half a mile where I had my car parked where my guitar was in. So then I grab my guitar, run back down. I'm hauling butt, praying she's still there. Get back, she's still sitting there. So I sit down and I go, hey, here, I got my guitar. So then I play like Wonderful Tonight, And then we ended up talking for a long time, and then I ended up walking her back. She goes, well, I'm going to get back now. And so she was going to walk back to her condo or whatever. They were staying with her family. I said, well, I'll walk you back, obviously. It was like 2-mile walk, the opposite way of where I was going. I'm like, oh, awesome, yay. But got to the front porch, and I was like, she was kind of looking at me with the kiss me eyes. And but I didn't. It kind of gave her a little kiss on the cheek, and I said, it's awesome to meet you tonight, blah, blah, blah. So now she'll tell the story as that like this. She walked by and she's like, "Who are these creepy guys?"
Right.
I'm gonna turn over my shoulder. I hope they aren't attacking me.
Exactly.
And then as you tell me you're gonna go to your truck, you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, he's probably gonna come back with an axe and like murder me." And then you got back and I was thinking, "Oh, now he's got a guitar. He's probably gonna suck."
Right.
But then you were actually pretty good. So we were thinking two completely different things apparently the whole time.
It worked out.
But it worked out.
So all these years later. That's awesome. Well, that's cool. The second thing I want to talk to you about real quick is this is a guy who was born in 1979. So just picture this for a second. The class of 90 was the year that Garth Brooks broke. 89, he got to Nashville, and 90, he exploded. So you were an 11-year-old kid when Garth exploded.
Yeah.
So through your high school, really, that's the time we all fall in love with music.
Right.
Garth Brooks was the bomb.
It was everything.
So fast forward a few years after that, a song that you wrote, I get goosebumps thinking about this, a song that you wrote, Garth hears, loves so much, he made the song that he reinvented his career with. He had been gone with his family for, 14 years. He came back with More Than a Memory, cut it. It went to number one. The first week it came out, everybody played it. It was a humongous hit. What is that like? My question to you is, what is it like to have Garth Brooks do that to you and your career?
It's literally what people would say dreams come true. It's like a thing that, you know, I've always kind of believed in. Like if you can envision it and you continue to, if you can see it, then it can happen. And so I'm like a hopeless romantic, not just romantic, but like just with life and what your dreams are and what you can do. And he inspired me. I got to see him one time when I was 17 years old in concert, and I listened to his records, wore them out, you know. And I had a vision in my head, you know, of what was going to happen one day. I wanted to be Garth Brooks, you know. And so I worked for that. I wrote songs every day by myself. I recorded. Music was everything. It was football and music all the time. And came to Nashville, and I wrote a bunch of songs about this girl that this was my little first love, actually, through college. I wrote every songwriter I met, I'd be talking about this girl, Brooke. Right? I was writing all these songs. Finally, after a couple of years of that, my song co-writers were like, "Okay, man, that's enough songs about this girl. Can we move on to something else, please?" And one night, I went on my first radio tour, and that song, that idea, I was up writing a letter to Brooke by hand on paper. And it was late. It was like 4 a.m. And I was like, you know, I'm getting tired. I was like, "What are you doing, Lee? You're not going to." I hadn't talked to her in years. We'd broken up. But I still had this thing for her. And so I said, "Well, she's just a memory. She's just a distant." And I was like looking at my hands and this piece of paper and at the clock and going, "Well, she's obviously tangibly still a part of my life, so she's more than a memory." And so I wrote that chorus that night. And then a couple months later, I went and sat down with my buddies and we wrote the verses. And then Garth heard that song. And I got a call from him. And
do you remember where that happened, or
yeah,
when you get the call from
Yeah,
Garth?
I was in the airport putting my stuff into the security line. I get a call, and it's like, "Hey, Lee, this is Garth." I'm like, "Garth who?" And he's like, "It's Garth Brooks. Hey, man, how are you?" I'm like, I'm good. I'm going through the security line. They're making me hang my phone up. So I had to hang the phone up on Garth Brooks. So I put my phone through, and I'm going through, waiting on my stuff to come out the other side. And I'm like, "Yo, Garth Brooks just called me." I'm just screaming to the airport. Yeah. They're like, "Who is this crazy dude?" Get my phone out, dial the number back. It was actually my buddy's, Kyle Jacobs, one of my producers and great friends. It was his phone that Garth was calling from. So I called him back. I'm like, "Kyle?" He's like, "No, hey, it's Garth." I'm like, "What? Really?" He's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Hey, I hope you don't mind. I want to record this song you wrote, and I want to make sure that's okay with you. And if it is, I want to, I'll record it, and I want you to hear it and, approve of it and kind of make sure that you like it before I do anything with it." And I was like, "Yes, you can record it. Duh. And number two, you don't need my information about anything. Go, are you kidding me?" So, and the kind of crazy part was I was just putting my first single out on the radio. Right. And that song I had written, I knew it was special, More Than a Memory. And a few people had it on hold. They were going to cut it. And I decided at the last minute, I called him back. I said, guys, I'm sorry, but I really want this song for myself because it was such a personal song. And then Garth called. So I'm like, yeah, go. My hero. And then from that day forward, when he put it out on the radio, he had a #1 party the next week, that Friday. And I got to meet him for the first time.
And that's unforgettable.
And that was unforgettable. And I saw him last night. And he, you know, he says, I love you, buddy. And he emails me every now and then. And, like, it's so surreal. I still cannot get my head wrapped around it.
I think that's how we all feel about just
It is.
sitting here with you because the
man.
relationship that we have with country artists, it's so, to me, I can't tell you how much it means. It's just, don't you think that that's what makes country music so special?
Sure.
It is. Sure. We feel like family. And I'm telling you, I sat in the studio upstairs and cried 2 weeks ago, and a week ago Friday when Troy Gentry died.
Man.
And I feel like it's like losing a family member.
It is.
And that's the only way I can put it.
It is that way, and it is with even people maybe you have not met, you know, like Don Williams and other folks that have passed in the past few years, and it's because they're such a part of your life, you know, whether you've met them or not, they're still kind of a part of your family.
Well, you have a way of writing songs, and the song that I've read that you say is the best song you've ever written, I Don't Dance, for your wedding, that's become a song for so many other couples to share. And
yeah, I mean, I think it's my favorite song I've written because when I was a kid, you know, I wanted to write songs. There was something in me that wanted to write a song about my girl, whoever that was, and for it to be on the radio and to play guitar and to put it and let it be on the radio for her to hear. That was like my thing. You know, I don't know. That was like what drove me to get on the piano and like write these inspiring, emotional, whatever songs.
Long snappers don't get the girl like country singers do. That's
well,
the thing.
if you're the football player at the party and you have a guitar,
oh, come on, money.
Hang
Hey,
it up.
speaking of a guitar, now I know I know you're not going to be able to sing today because we don't want to push your voice. You got a show coming up in Frederick.
I do.
This weekend. Saturday night, can we come and see you there?
Yes,
that's going to happen.
Hope this gets good by then.
Well, what do we do with this guitar? Because here it is.
Well,
here it is.
It was really cool. It reminded me, we were just talking about my childhood and writing the songs. It was like, that's not in tune, but I met a lady tonight, and she said that her son like called into the station to get these tickets like 70-something times. It would not stop.
132, I believe.
Or however many
Actual
it
number,
was.
yeah.
And he's not here. But I would love to give him this guitar if we can. Yeah, I was going to play this guitar tonight, but I just can't sing. I cannot get anything out. I could show you if you want me to, but I promise you don't want to hear it. So I want to give you this.
Oh, my gosh. Wow, that is way cool. Wow. Lee, thank you for doing that. Dude. Wow. Let me get you on a microphone so we can hear you. Because we're streaming this as well. Hey, make some noise for everybody who's watching this on WMCQ.com. All right, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. While we're on WMCQ.com, Lee Brice, you have a new album coming out November the 3rd.
Yep.
Tell me about it. I want everybody to know.
Well, the album, this is my 4th album, and I wanted to be, this album in particular, I love all kind of music. You know, I've grown up listening to all kind of music, and I wanted this album in particular to be very real and raw and honest. And I mean that in every way, not just my lyrics and what I'm writing about, because I'm always honest about what I write about. But musically, I want it to be very honest and real, too. And so this is a record that I committed to being guys playing instruments and me singing songs and me playing guitar. You know, it's a part of what I did growing up. And like most times when you go into the studio, the session players are so great. They're so world class that you just let them play guitar, because you can't do what they can do. But what I've found out is that they can't do what I can do. I mean, even though what I'm doing isn't quite technically as good as what they're doing, it's me. It's just like a singer. It's like a singer. This is my voice, and this is my voice on guitar. And so I just committed to not having computer tricks and auto-tuning and all this different sounds and stuff. I just wanted to be able to go on the stage and play the exact thing you're hearing on that record with my band that's on the stage. And and I wanted it to be groovy. So this is a pretty groovy record, and it's a very honest record, and a lot of this record is very reflective about where I'm at in my life with my family, with my road, and my music, and spiritually, and just a very kind of hard on the sleeves record that I'm excited about. And so I can't really sing today, as you can tell, but I was gonna try to just play a few songs at some point here after we do some questions and answers and stuff.
All right.
Off the phone, and let y'all hear some of the records.
Yeah. Why don't we, I tell you what, before we sign off at WMCQ.com, I'll take 3 audience questions. Or anybody in the audience would like to say something to Lee. What is your name and what's your question?
Shannon.
And I don't really have a question, but I just want to thank you. I spent 22 years in the United States Air Force. I was a casualty
you for your
assistance
service.
officer for 4.5 years.
Wow.
So I notified the next of kin.
Oh, man.
And
That has got
I
to be
had
so
to
difficult.
turn off but all of my emotion and be there for them because their emotion was more important than mine. And whenever I hear your song, I Drive Your Truck, I'm not able to turn off my emotion. And I just wanted to thank you for what you send a message to everybody else that song touches.
Thank you so much for that. I felt so blessed that I was able to find that song. And what you said just now is so impactful. My wife, her grandmother just died. And her grandmother was like her mother to her. She was very close to her. And my wife was very strong through all the kind of end. And then she came home and she was so emotional. And she hadn't been at all. And so what you just said, it's like you had to turn it off to be strong for them. So like this title popped in my head I got to write one day called Your Turn to Cry. And so I got to write that. And so I'll be thinking about you when I do.
And thank you for what you've done. Wow. 2 more questions. Anybody else have a question for Lee Brice? I'm going to give you the microphone. You have one right here. Let me run over and say hello to Lee.
Hi, Lee. How are you?
Well,
I Drive Your Truck is my favorite song.
Thank you.
I saw a video where it was your anniversary and your wife surprised you on stage and your boys came out. What was that like for you?
Well, it was cool. It's like it wasn't like I hadn't seen them in a long time or anything like that, but it was actually our anniversary and we weren't going to be able to be together. But then on top of that, it's just that when they come to shows, usually I know they're there or I'll take them out on the road with me. So to just be out there in the moment, and I was actually singing Boy, and for me to not have any idea they were there all day, and then during that song, my 2 kids were like pulling on the back of my legs out in front of the crowd. It was like weirdly emotional. It was like, God, this is like my 2 worlds collide right here, and it was a really cool moment for me. And then, of course, Riker was kind of shy for about 1.5 seconds, and then as soon as he got 1 high five, I couldn't get him off the stage. He's like, oh, that was fun. Now everybody wants some. It was really cool.
There you go. Anybody else? One more question from a little guy back here. Matthew.
Hey,
this
Matthew.
is Meet Matthew. Okay, Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
What would you like to say?
My favorite song is
It's all right. What did you say? You're 6
He
and a
got-
half
he-
and 3/4?
6 3/4. I think he got a
right.
little
He's
freaked out
smart.
hearing his voice on the microphone.
Hey,
Is
what's
you
your
have a
question?
song?
You don't have to
Do you have
talk
a song?
into the microphone.
my favorite radio is iHeartRadio.
Oh, love that. You hear that?
I'll give you that 20 later, brother.
He's now in the 6+ range, so he counts.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So I guess we're going to wrap it up on WMZQ.com. The new album, November 3rd. It'll be called Lee Brice, an easy name to remember.
Come on.
Be your 4th officially released album, and I'm sure with a lot more number ones.
Well, I hope so. And either way, what I hope the most is that people get enjoyment out of the record. You know, it's made to feel good and made to stir some stuff up inside you. Maybe good, maybe sad, maybe happy, all of it. And that's what I'm here to do. So I hope y'all enjoy it.
You be watching and be listening for more Lee Brice. Thanks for watching at WMCQ.com. We've got a little treat here for the audience. We'll be back on the radio.